But like, again, that's not me speaking, that's that younger, hurt version of Harry. So this is referring to when I was really struggling with body dysmorphia. I guess my therapy journey actually started probably 8-9 years ago.
I didn't think I'd laugh so much at a conversation around therapy. Like, there's no framework.
Yeah, Mike. Mike.
You stack wins, and that's how you create confidence. What have you got to lose? Start a journal and start to recognize how often these thoughts come up. Maybe I guess the question is, I know you give so much, and without it sometimes always coming back, how do you keep giving and maintain that?
What does success mean to you? What we're going to do a running this or that. It's got to be quick. You can't think about it, yeah? So, number 1, running on the road or trail.
Road.
Long run or interval.
Long.
Morning run or evening.
Morning.
Headphones or no headphones.
Headphones.
Solo or group.
Group.
Hot or cold weather.
Hot.
Marathon or half.
Half.
Gels or food.
Gels.
Race for time or for fun.
Time.
Sprint finish or steady finish.
Sprint.
Cool. Why half?
Because a marathon's so hard.
Was that your first one in Berlin?
That was my second marathon.
Second marathon. Where was your first one?
Manchester.
How did that go?
Hot as well. Both Manchester and Berlin were hot.
Was it this year?
Yeah, it's in Manchester Marathon this year and Berlin Marathon this year.
Oh wow, yeah, it was hot. It was in April, right? It
was in April. I think it was about 23, 24 degrees.
I know so many people that did that, and the nutrition side wasn't there.
Mate, I was first ever marathon, so I was like exposed to the, you know, in a hard way. I remember running through like the 20-mile point, and like there was so much support that day. Like it was literally like the ideal day for a marathon. Like it was hot and all support, but when you're going through like the 20-mile point, you're going through like the back part of Manchester, and there was nobody there, and all you could just hear was footsteps and people like literally stepping off and like can't do it anymore, and like it was tough.
That's where it gets hard though. That's where it counts.
That's the hardest point.
Yeah. And what was your fueling like?
Fueling was as prepared as I could be, but what I didn't expect, and again you learn through experiences, that when it's hot you go through almost like double as amount of carbs as normal. So like I did run out of carbs very, very soon, and also get very dehydrated.
Was you happy with your finish time?
Yeah, for my first one. So I got 3:22.
Wow. That's rapid, to be fair. Like.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I was aiming for 3:20, but I'm not going to be sour about 2 minutes, my first ever marathon. But yeah, no, the feeling was incredible. So I had my mum, dad, girlfriend Zara, all of Zara's family, her twin sister's boyfriend came to watch. So I desperately needed a drink, well, for the whole of it, I guess. He's a footballer, and he actually ran part of it for me. Not for me, but with me. And was holding the Powerades. I had to drop my ego at that point, because I was thinking, you know, he's pretty cool, isn't he? He's a footballer. I'm like literally like hobbling through, like dying. It's like, mate, I'm struggling a bit. We bonded a bit that day, I think.
Right, onto the training and nutrition, red or green flags. And we'll come back to your Berlin Marathon later. Okay. No rest days. Green or red flag?
Red flag.
Carbs are bad.
Red flag.
Never missing a session no matter what.
Red flag.
Running through pain.
Red flag.
Everything you did in the marathon was a run. Tracking every calorie.
Red flag.
Replacing meals with shakes.
Red flag.
Doing your long runs too fast.
Red flag.
No warm-ups.
Red flag.
Ego lifting.
Red flag.
Mobility work.
Green flag.
One green flag. Lifting without proper form.
Red flag.
Eating plenty of fruit and veg.
Green flag.
That's pretty easy.
These are also context dependent.
Okay, do you want to dive into any of them? Because some of them are like, you want to kind of expand, like, mate, in certain situations.
Yeah, on the whole, most of them are red flags. Because anything that's to an extreme is a red flag. Like tracking every calorie, red flag. Not skipping a workout, red flag. You need some sort of flexibility in a plan, balance. But everything's context dependent. Like if you're training for Berlin Marathon, I would say, yeah, never miss a session unless you're injured or something happens, family member, something like that. Again, it depends on obviously the level of goal and, you know, how important that thing is to you. But everything's context dependent.
Fair play. That's a very like
So it's a coach's
diplomatic
answer. That one. It's a coach's
diplomatic
answer.
But it's a good answer, right? Because there's no like just very straightforward answers for everything. Like, there's a bit.
There's always a grey area.
Yeah. It happens, and it's not black or white. There's a grey area, right? Cool. Firstly, I just want to thank you for agreeing to come on the podcast. We met, I think it was in June at Carry the Weight Club. Yeah. Something else we'll talk about a little later on. And you mentioned, you said, I'll come on the podcast, shout me. And because I didn't know you, I was like, is he just saying that?
Yeah.
Or does he actually mean it? So when I followed up and you was like, yeah, let's lock a date in, I was like, okay, he's serious. And that's told me a lot about your character, so I just want to say thank you for coming down and giving me your time.
Well, no, I appreciate being invited on. As I was saying before we started, that I've wanted to come on to a podcast for a long time. I'll be honest, like I'm a little bit nervous and anxious about speaking and stuff, but no, I'm looking forward to it.
Good. We'll get you on a lot of podcasts after this. If you enjoy the experience, I'm sure a lot of people will want you on. I guess first, Harry, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Harry, I'm 26. I'm an online coach from Manchester. Started coaching 2-3 years ago. I have a huge passion for anything fitness related. My background was actually strength training, powerlifting. I've always played a lot of sport, sort of semi-professional. Was never quite good enough to make it. I guess that's always a bit of a bee in my bonnet, but fell in love with the gym as a byproduct, so obviously trying to train to improve for sport. And then I think maybe became a little bit more obsessed with the way that I looked, and that became more of a love or obsession. We'll come on to that. Then found that I was pretty good at that. Wanted to help people with that. Started helping people whilst I was at uni. Struggled with a few different mental health things again that we'll come on to. I wanted to start coaching younger guys, help them through the things that I struggled with, create community, bust some myths in the mental health space. Obviously set up Carry the Weight. Just generally someone that wants to feel connected to other guys and positively impacting their life, whether that's mental health, fitness, or just general kind of mentoring, life coaching.
I think you've done that. I think you're doing that. Like you said, you want to impact lives, create a community, bust myths in the mental health space, really all positive stuff. I think you are doing that.
I appreciate that. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Do you ever reflect on that and think, because I reckon you're a guy who's got these huge goals, right? You're always looking forward. Next year, what about the next 5 years? Where do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? Big or better? Do you ever just kind of stop and go, old me wanted to be here?
I'm probably one of the most self-aware. I'm very, very self-aware. But I don't stop to appreciate sometimes what I've done or what I've been able to create, because I know there's always more to be done. Like, don't get me wrong, there's always points, like for example with the Carry the Weight events, there'll be just like a moment whilst you're seeing everybody there interacting, people who've never spoken to each other, people speaking about topics that don't get spoken about enough, and then you're like, wow, I've helped facilitate, I helped create that environment so that could be spoken about. Or I've helped create this group chat, somebody's actually reached out into it because they needed help, and then they've got help from all these other people, as I've been able to help create that space for that. It's something I should do more, but I am very driven to be more and achieve more.
So it's going to be like when you're 70, you'll be able to stop and look back?
I don't know if I will.
Really?
So actually I go to therapy, and this was something I was chatting about on Wednesday, is that like I'm currently feeling like quite anxious about like wanting to be more, achieve more, and not being quite happy with where I am. So it's quite apt that this is coming up, but it's something that I'm trying to do. Whether I'll get there, I'm not sure.
So I'm going to take this in a completely different direction now, because this is a good conversation, right? So you go to therapy. I know the benefits of it. I go to therapy myself. So I guess why? Tell me a little bit about where that journey started, and then we'll kind of look at the I hate this word, stigma around it. Why, especially men, are so reluctant to even make that step. Wait, if you got this far, you must be enjoying the conversation. Make sure to hit the like button and press subscribe to show your support. Back to the episode.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess my therapy journey actually started probably 8-9 years ago. So I really struggled with body dysmorphia and depression, got diagnosed, had therapy through the NHS, then also had therapy at school. I only had that for a short while, whatever it was, like the 6-12 week course that they do, 20-30 minute appointment. At the time, I didn't really think it helped me. I was somebody that was really struggling with the way that my body looked, very, very obsessed with certain things. And like I was chatting to a guy that was maybe in his 50s, just couldn't relate at all. Like it just felt like I was talking to a brick wall. And also like one of the traits of body dysmorphia is it's almost very like egotistical. Like you don't really believe anybody else's opinions. So like the person in the best shape in the world could tell you like you are incredible, like look at you, but you won't believe it. Like your own opinion is the only thing that matters to you at that point. Finished that journey and kind of thought I'd got over it. But a year and a half ago, I kind of swallowed my ego a little bit and was like, you know what? This is still really affecting me on like a deeper level. And this is going to continue to affect me on like a subconscious level unless I actually start to deal with it. So yeah, I reached out to BetterHelp and started therapy.
Love that. Before we go on to kind of why guys are reluctant, you're talking about you thought you got over it, and I can relate, and I don't really want to talk too much about me, but I suffered with an eating disorder, and I know that'll be something that'll always be there, and it's not something that goes away, whether the thoughts are quite overbearing or they might just be very subtle in certain moments when I'm about to eat or whatever it might be. So going back to you, body dysmorphia, where you at on that journey now? Because you're still in therapy. Tell me a little bit more.
I'm in like a really positive place with it. I guess like what I should have said, like when I started therapy, it was, okay, maybe I had body dysmorphia, but maybe like that was caused by something more deeper rooted, like, not truly liking myself or not truly feeling confident, or whether it was like some childhood wounds or something on a subconscious level. But in terms of where I am with it now, like, I can go and eat whatever I want. Like I will feel a little bit guilty depending on it, but like it will just be a passing thought. Like in the past, that would have been like, wow, this is the worst thing ever. I'm awful. I'm terrible. I don't deserve to do X, Y, and Z. I can't exercise any self-control. And then the next few days would have just been like super restrictive. And then I'd have been looking in every single mirror, checking myself, taking photos, comparing it with where I was the day before, weighing myself 6, 7, 8 times a day. Whereas like now it's just like a passing thought, and it's just like, this is fine. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't define me if I eat something like that. So I'm in a really good place with it.
That's good to hear. A lot of growth there, right? Yeah. Could you have done that without therapy?
Yes, but I think I've been very fortunate with the network of people I've got around me. I'm in a long-term relationship. I've been with my girlfriend 7 years, and I think without her I would have probably needed therapy, but she's been absolutely incredible with it, and someone that I could speak to openly about it. And of course like my family. But therapy has helped me understand and almost like organize my thoughts. Like when your head can just feel clouded and just so full and just like constantly on. Therapies for me is actually the one point in the week or every 2 weeks, whenever I do it, where I actually stop. Like it makes me feel calm, which not many things do apart from like reading. It's crazy.
What about running?
Running depends for me. Like a lot of people say that running obviously massively, helps them switch off, that kind of thing. But like I'm very performance orientated. It's like if I've got a goal of I want to do this marathon time, this 5K, this 10K time, like I'm stressed and I'm thinking about the time. I need to be this, I need to be better. But if I don't have a goal at that point, I'm just going out for a slow, easy run. Great for my mental health and just general clarity. But it can stray into the other side of making me like anxious and like, again, I'm not good enough. I'm not where I want to be.
Does that kind of obsessiveness leak over into running and performance and exercise?
Absolutely. Like, running's something that helps me cope with it, to be honest. Like I was saying to you before, I've been injured for the past 4 or 5, 6 weeks, and not running has has triggered parts of my body dysmorphia, because running for me was always something that helped me manage my expenditure to actually maintain a certain level of body fat. So like, when you take that away, it's like, oh, gonna have to substitute that with something. Like, you're gonna have to start be careful here. But like, again, that's not me speaking, that's that younger trauma, like more hurt version of Harry.
No, that's very good self-awareness. Do you have any advice for a guy that's struggling with body dysmorphia?
Start a journal and start to recognize how often these thoughts come up, because when you're in it and you're having these thoughts, you don't actually tend to recognize how often they come up, because I forget the stat of how many million thoughts, whatever, we have every single day. But if you just have that little task of spend journaling 5 minutes every single day, and then you just flip back those pages, right, it's the same thing, it's the same thing, it's the same thing, and then at that point it's okay, maybe I need to speak about this, maybe I need to acknowledge it, or just, sit with it for a minute and then take that from there.
So observe.
Becoming more self-aware of what you're thinking about and how that's starting to drive behaviour, because if at the heart of everything you do you're thinking about the way you look or something else, whether it's an eating disorder, like, that's no way to live. It's just going to suck the happiness and the joy and the energy out of everything.
And then what about therapy? I said that guys, I'm going to make loads of generalisations, so don't hate on me. Guys are reluctant to go to therapy or counselling, whatever it might be. From your experience, because it sounds like a very positive one, what would you say to guys that are thinking about it but need that nudge, need that push, that reason why to go?
What have you got to lose? What is any negative of going to therapy? You're literally just going to go and sit and have a chat like this. If you don't like it afterwards, you can stop it. But in that chat, you're probably going to feel like you've just completely offloaded. You've spoken about something again. You've paused, you've stopped, you've come off social media, you've gone outside your usual container. If that's being on a building site in a toxic environment, if it's somewhere else, like, you're out of your usual environment, speaking to somebody different that's got a different worldview. I personally can't see a negative of that. And you don't even have to tell anybody. If you're feeling anxious about telling someone and there's like a stigma about talking about it, don't tell anybody. And then once you feel comfortable, of course, I mean, I'd love to tell everybody go and talk about it, but like, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't need to put that pressure on yourself to say that you're going.
That's not enough though. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. That's not enough. I think it's so relevant right now. It's Men's Health Month, and everyone keeps saying it's Men's Mental Health Month. There's a lot of talk on social media. Oh, we need to talk, guys, talk more. I personally don't think that does anything. Telling guys to talk doesn't really get them to talk, because if it was that easy, we would solve the problem. The statistics wouldn't be what they are. What do you think's missing?
I think the way our culture is set up, it's very much about strive, achieve, be strong, and if you differ or differentiate from those values, you're somewhat seen as inferior or weak. That's something I would describe myself as relentlessly. You're weak, you're not good enough. But I think a lot of those issues are rooted in society, so I think that's where that comes from.
And Carry the Weight Club, how did that come about?
I'd love to sit here and say like this was some like beautifully organised thing that I'd always wanted to do, but I met Ben. There's Ben, the guy that we started with, at actually a mental health event with Reebok, which was really cool. And I can't remember. I think Ben messaged me, was like, I want to do something for testicular cancer. I said like, I really wanted to set up a mental health community group for ages, and I think it's something that's really lacking in Manchester. And then we just kind of came up, okay, let's do a run. Okay, can we do anything that actually links to testicular cancer a little bit more? I was like, well, maybe we could carry something. And then suddenly the idea of carrying a sandbag, and that kind of referred like metaphorically to the weight, the invisible weight that so many men carry from a mental health perspective, but then also, of course, with testicular cancer. Or it's like the things that you don't see. You're carrying the weight that you don't see.
Great idea, by the way, and I have to say this is what inspired my sandbag carry. So I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing this month, I've said it enough, but the reason I'm carrying the sandbag is because I went to one of the Carry the Weight events, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this in November, let me make it a little bit harder, and how you kind of use the metaphor of the sandbag is in that invisible weight. I thought that's a great idea. So that inspired me.
Yeah, it really took off as a concept, and I think because it had like the team element of it as well, because carrying sandbags heavy, as you know, it's hard work. Like carrying that over 5k on your own is hard work. So then suddenly actually now having that as a team, and then what we did with Carry the Weight, we made it very like, it was like military based when we were like doing chants and shouting and stuff as we were going through the run. So it instantly brought people together rather than a run club where nobody really knows each other and like we're all kind of there, but it actually just made it so much more intimate straight away.
And how many events have you done so far?
We've done 3, and Ben's doing one this month in Australia.
I seen that on Instagram. When I seen him post, I was like, oh yes, and then I realised where it was, and I was like, no, I'm gutted. We are putting plans together for a 4th one. We're just trying to confirm a few different venues, but with the way that we are, we want to go bigger, better, try and reach more guys and try and do not cooler things, but more connected things. How important is connection?
So important. If you don't have that connection, you can't talk, which is what we're just talking about there. And to feel connected is when you're able to then talk about those more difficult things. But it's difficult to establish that connection, to establish that like psychological safety between, 2 or 3 people when you're talking.
And you've got the WhatsApp group, right?
Yeah.
So at least people they've got them touch points in between the events and stuff to build that relationship. And I've met loads of guys at the event and I still speak to them and they want to come and join me for runs and stuff. So it's worked what you're doing, which is good.
Honestly, it baffles me. Like it started off as just a thing in Manchester. I'll message my friends, Ben messages network, and we'll see if we can get any more traction on social media. And then, we've done these 2 or 3 events. We've had people come from Essex, Cornwall, Newcastle, Scotland. Like, how'd you find out about it? Oh yeah, we just saw it on social media. I was like, you mean you've driven 5-6 hours to come run 5k? Obviously it's more than that to them. It's so much more than that. But like, that's one of those moments you were saying before about like reflection and like the impact that you're having. But then again with the WhatsApp group, what I love to see is that, again, wide range of age groups, maybe like 16, 17, all the way up until, 60s. A lad that actually used to coach popped a message in and was like, having this problem in this friendship group, it feels a little bit toxic, this or that. Suddenly you've got 15 guys messaging their point of view, and you've got someone that's old enough to be my granddad messaging someone that's old enough to be his best mate, and then you've just got all these different world views, and it's like, but it was amazing to see that, like being able to connect. But like, that's going back to connecting with someone that's like, you're the same age as my dad, but I can connect with you actually as a friend because we've got mutual and shared interests in promoting positive men's mental health, fitness, health, wellness.
And how much do you think the sandbag and that military style really spoke to men?
I think it spoke well because if we'd said, okay, we're going to do an event and we're just going to come together and we're going to have coffee, probably would have had nobody turn up. But because it was, okay, let's run 5k and let's carry a sandbag. I think the sandbag was like something, okay, that sounds quite hard. And that's something that I don't mind going to like hang my hat on and go and do.
Yeah, Mike. Right. Guys, Mike. I'm sorting the electrics out. Don't mind me.
Stop. Please don't tell me you're watching without subscribing. Don't be that guy. Hit that subscribe button to show your support. Back to the episode. We've transitioned. Carry the Weight Club we were talking about. Yeah. How can people get involved?
Very easy. We want to make, if it's going to be a community for men, it needs to be very, very low barrier to entry. You literally follow the page and there's the WhatsApp chat in the bio, and that's where we update everything and release the events.
Okay, so you've got a couple of events coming up potentially.
Yeah, well, we've got the event coming up in Australia, which Ben is doing, and there's a couple of events in the works for the UK. We're just confirming locations, dates, etc. But some cool things coming.
Any exclusives are? Bear in mind this won't come out till maybe January.
Well, the event might have been by then. Okay. Maybe. But we'd like to do something, obviously the concept's always going to be built around the sandbags running, but we'd like to do something a little bit more connected on a deeper level, whether that's something with sound or something with breath.
Sick. I've not done both. I've done breath work I went to an event actually this week and did breath work. I think it's amazing. I think it's been more effective than therapy for me, or on the same level. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's something that's helped me, and I think unfortunately again for men there's a bit of a stigma hoo-ha around breath, sound, all of these kind of things. And I think one thing that is good with Carry the Weight is it somewhat attracts those men that think like that. So if we can use Carry the Weight as a platform to introduce them to those things like sound, breath work, which have been so helpful and fundamental to me in my mental health, then I think, we can really use that platform for good.
It gives men permission to try those new activities, because you're doing it as a group of guys, and it's like if you want to laugh your way through it, and you all might be feeling awkward and embarrassed, but actually you might take something away from it and go, oh, that was good, that made me feel better.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate, so I run my coaching community as well, Muslim Mind. We do events quite frequently, and we did one in February, which was a sound bath at Fix in Manchester, which is the sauna and ice bath. But we did a sound event there, and I was again very, very apprehensive about hosting that event, because I coach guys between like 18 and 25, and like I'd spoken to a lot of my guys like one-on-one about, this is something I'm thinking about, would you be interested? And I was very apprehensive about them coming into a room, a space where everyone's doing very loud breaths, humming, someone's banging a gong. Like, what are people actually going to think about this? And when I was hosting the event, my heart was going, what people are going to be laughing or whatever it is. But like, everyone like threw themselves in. And like, when you're in a room of 20, 25 people all breathing heavily or like humming, or it's powerful, like the sound and the vibrations. And everyone walked away from that with a great level of connection and understanding.
Because where does that come from? That comes from before we lived this so connected tech, cars life. When we were just tribes, that's the stuff they would do. Yeah. So it makes sense. It's good for us, like mentally and physically, right?
So it does, but like bringing that now back into like the Western civilization, it's like this new thing, but it's been around for hundreds of thousands of years.
I look forward to it. Do you know Craig Seaton?
Yes.
Okay, that's who he was doing breathwork with.
Okay, yeah. So Craig was actually meant to do the event at Fix, but I think he actually had a baby the day the event was. So it was Nigel who did it instead.
See, I go to a yoga studio in Chapel Street, and I think and Nigel might Soulbank. Yeah, I think does he teach there? I was gonna say I thought I recognise his name.
He's a very calming influence.
You got to be though, aren't you? If you're in that space.
They like speak in slow motion. I love it. I wish I had that like aura.
Yeah, you asking for some tips. No, that's cool, and I think guys doing it together, as I said, gives permission. If you wanted to try that on your own, takes a lot to go find a studio that does breath work or yoga, and then it's going to be 90% female, so you feel a bit like, I don't fit in here, I don't belong. Whereas this community you've created, it's like, oh, I fit in here.
Yeah, it's like all the guys have got somewhat of a similar interest, and then if you take them and introduce them to something, they're going to have somewhat similar first impressions or somewhat similar stereotypes before they go in.
Love it. Yeah, that's cool. Switching gears. I was scrolling on your page before I came, that last minute research. Don't leave it last minute. And something on there was, you said when you was younger, your mum used to ask you, like, how are you doing, Harry? Like, every day for years and years, and you just be like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. The typical answer that we give here in the UK, like, yeah, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm good, are you? Until one day something changed and you answered honestly. What did change, and how did it feel to answer honestly?
So this is referring to when I was really struggling with body dysmorphia. What changed was I couldn't handle it any longer on my own. It just became too big of a thing, it felt, to keep it in anymore. Like, and it woke up, and it started by waking up that day and I just burst out crying, and I never cry. And then at that point I just didn't want to go to school, college. At that point it's like, I have to answer that question honestly. And when it did come out, like, it really wasn't that bad. Like, again, it was that weight. It was the weight being lifted. You know, you big something up in your head for so long. I like this, how this is going to play out when you talk about something, and then it never ever actually turns out to be quite as bad as what you built it up.
Which is crazy, right? Because how many guys right now, how many women like are getting asked how are you doing, and they're thinking, yeah, I'm fine, but actually they're carrying something they would benefit from offloading. But that thing you've just said about this is going to be really bad if I offload it is holding them back.
You've of course got to pick and choose your moments. I mean, I'm sure I'm speaking and generalising for everybody, but like the reason why you say you're fine is because you don't want to come across as too much. Nobody wants to be seen as too much or a burden or hard work or that person. But like, if you can speak to somebody who you know you're not going to be too much to, then that's the person obviously to speak to. If that's a love to family one, or someone in one of these groups, you know, you, Jordan, myself, like there's certain people that can hold that space and have that conversation.
Yeah, I get it a lot. People open up to me a lot, especially this month. I've had so many messages, and it's like, whoa, like they must feel like I'm this safe space where they can share that, and I think everyone needs that and deserves that, and I think the group is a great place for that, right?
Of course they can, and it's the same thing that I experience in my coaching network. You know, on the face of it, you could just say I help people with health and fitness, help them improve their body, whatever it is. But like on a much deeper level, you get everyone kind of, you know, feels confident to, you know, offload some of those more difficult things, and I'd love being able to facilitate that. The thing that really excites me and fulfills me is to jump on a coaching call and really go into the depths of whatever that one thing is that person is struggling with, and then you can see, you can actually, there is like an epiphany when someone tells you that. You can see they have this like new energy, like, oh, it's okay, and I love that moment, and that's one of the whole reasons why I do what I do.
It's all connected though, right? If someone's don't want to go gym, or they're eating too much, or the feeling held back, well, what's going on in the personal life? Like, it's all right saying, yeah, cut this out, train more, do this, but actually, how are you doing? How is your family life? Exactly.
It's so important to go into those deeper things, because if they're not all connected, then you're just going to be spinning your wheels, and it's very, very shallow level coaching just to say you're not disciplined, you can't do this, why are you not doing that? It's so much more than that.
And how many people are great at getting people results but really rubbish at coaching people? Because anyone can put you on a calorie deficit and say, do this workout. Yep, I got him from this and now he weighs this. But how does he feel?
Coaching is so much deeper. Like, you know, someone can come in and say, I want X, but actually you can see straight away that they need Y. So like, you give them a little bit of X and then you start to push them towards Y, and you ask them the right questions so they start to understand why actually Y is the right thing. You know, for example, when I had body dysmorphia, I'd have gone straight to coach, I want to get shredded, I want to be 6% body fat. Someone could take a look at me and be like, no mate, you definitely don't need that, you're already on like 1200 calories, you're being stupid, you're being silly. Whereas like, you need to give them a little bit of what they want and then push them and show them why that's actually not the right thing for them to be doing.
Which is partly what therapy is, right? Where they take you on that journey and help you understand like what you need. And yeah, man, no, that's...
And I think like that was just made me think about therapy. Like, I went to therapy as like such a typical guy, right? 6-8 weeks, I'm going to be fixed. Here I am a year and a half later, and it's still going. But like, you think that everything can be fixed very, very quickly, and like that is something you, like, in terms of therapy, you do just need to put to one side and be like, this is a journey that I'm going to invest in. It's the same with health, fitness, mental health. Anything that's worth having, improving, does not come quickly.
And I think that's why people think it doesn't work. When they say, oh, I tried it, it don't work. Oh, yeah, what? How long did you go for? I just went to this one session, but yeah, it didn't work. It's like, what did you expect in like one session? Like, it's a journey, and I always say to people, you heal over time, right? But you don't get to this journey where you're healed and you're this.
There's never the moment where you're going to be like, okay, that's it, I'm healed.
Yeah, I'm done. Like, never go back. It's a constant journey.
And the way that my therapist frames it to me is like, you know, these could have been issues that you had when you were literally 3-4 years old, and you know, all the way up until you're 10-12. Like, you can't just undo 10 years of this in 10 weeks. It's going to take, not an equal amount of time, but it's going to take a certain amount of time.
I didn't think I'd laugh so much at a conversation around therapy. Like, it's nice to talk to someone who gets it, right?
Yeah, of course.
On the how are you stuff, how do you answer now? Do you answer truthfully when people ask?
Again, it's context dependent. To people that I know that can hold space for me, then I'll answer truthfully. To people that I can interpret can't hold that space, then I'll just answer, I'm okay, I'm fine. Or I'll direct the question back to them, because it's probably actually more important for them to get that question.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling really good at the moment. I'll be honest, I struggled after the Berlin Marathon, not being able to run. I felt like the Berlin Marathon was a chapter change for me. Spent a lot of time training for that, kind of put all my eggs in one basket, tunnel vision, focus, and then finished that. Didn't get the time I wanted, felt a little bit empty, felt like, okay, maybe career-wise, this area, maybe want to change, do something different. And that, like, feeling unsure of what you want to do or where you are, and also being, okay, maybe I'm not quite as good at running or whatever it is that I thought or wanted to be. Those can give you a lot of, like, not negative feelings, but a lot of anxiety, and a lot of things can swirl around in your head. But no, I'm in a good place. Like, yeah.
Good. You see, I get that energy from you, right? But again, I guess people can smile through something tough they're going through. But I do feel like you sound like you're in a positive place. You've got a lot of good things going for you. You've got goals. How important are them goals, future goals, whether it's short or long term? How important are them for keeping your like mental health good and your mindset focused?
I think having goals gives you clarity. Having clarity gives you direction. Of course, having goals is important. But going back to the point what you're saying there is, like, the thing that gives me that clarity is simply I journal for 5 minutes every morning. That's been one of the best things I've ever done for myself, because that just gives me that connection with my feelings. Instead of just getting up and being like, okay, what's the next task? It means that I give myself the first 5-10 minutes every single day. But yeah, going back to your question, goals are very important.
Journaling. Let's dive in. It's something I got into in lockdown and did it every day. And like you said, I got so much from it, being present, just brain dump, and what you described therapy like before, where your brain's foggy. I feel like when you write, you connect the dots. Things start to make sense, where in your head it's just full of, I need to do this is tomorrow, and all these confusing thoughts. You still journaling now?
Yeah. You know, the biggest reason why it took me so long to start journaling, I didn't know how. I didn't know what's the framework. I'm very logically and, like, systematically orientated. Okay, like, what's the first question I should answer? What's the first thing I should write about? And then I should realize, just write. It's the best. It's such a good thing to do. But, like, maybe it was a form of procrastination of some sort, of being like, maybe I shouldn't do it, maybe I shouldn't. But it was actually just, it was one of the best things I've ever done.
There's no framework. Which is so interesting, right? Like, you think, oh yeah, what question should we answer? And it's like, no, just pick up a pen, get a paper, or if you want to do it, on a laptop, whatever works for you, and just type, just write.
But we're conditioned to plan. We're conditioned to organise and think, whereas that's almost just like trying to allow what's in here to come out without thinking what's in here. It's such a strange concept, but
interesting. Okay, goals. Let's stick on the goals, because I think that's a good kind of focus now to wrap it up. Have you got both short and long term goals?
Yeah, I think so.
What's your next goal?
Still want to hit a sub 3 hour marathon. That's very, very important to me. That's something I've not ticked off obviously yet. Whether you call that short or long term depends what you define short and long term. That's going to be the next 6 to 12 months. Long term goals are, I really want to build a legacy and a personal brand for being able to help and create community and foster conversation. So again, carry the weight. I have a few other different kind of business propositions I want to build. Financial goals, all that kind of stuff as well. Everything's generally fitness or career based for me. I did write at the start of 2025, I want to stop therapy, but I think that was just more like I want it to be fixed and healed. Whereas that's not a goal. I want to stop therapy. I'm quite happy to continue that until I feel the moment, whereas I don't need to, I don't want to continue. Yeah.
Cool. And if we met in a year, what would you be celebrating?
Good question. I think about that. There's a few things coming up there that I maybe can't share on the podcast, but I'd love to have bought a house with my girlfriend. That's a big important thing for me. And I feel like getting the respect of my parents is a huge thing for me, to feel appreciated and to feel that I'm successful. So to be able to have done that would give me a big sense of achievement.
What does success mean to you? What does it look like? How would you define success?
Success to me actually is about being connected. Of course, from like a financial perspective, you need a certain level to be comfortable, but like I want to be connected to the people I spend time with. So I want to be connected to my girlfriend, connected to my dog, connected to my mum and dad, connected to my friends, and be present. Like I think it's very, very easy in today's society to be pushing and achieving, which is something that I always want to do, but you can always miss the connection. You can miss being present, and it's probably one of my worst nightmares to go through life being unconnected.
So aren't you already successful?
To some extent, but I would like to be more connected. I think you can always be more connected, I guess. But I guess what I'm trying to say there is like the financial aspect can give you more time to be connected.
Do you have a why?
A why?
A purpose?
We'll come back to that one at the end of the podcast.
Okay. Well, we are close to the end. I've obviously, I said before, scrolling your Instagram before I came, and I've actually seen some of your posts, older versions of yourself, maybe when you just started the gym and you was going on this journey. What would that older version think of you now?
He'd be so proud. He would be so proud. I'm right now everything that I always ever wanted to be. And that gives me so much fulfillment, and that younger version of me, I'm exactly what he needed. I would love 14, 15, whatever age of me to walk through that door and to say he's got a problem, because I just know that I'd be able to help him and direct him in the way that he needs and he wants.
Oh, emotional that.
That's why I set up Mastermind. That's why I do what I do. Like, if someone had said at 14, 15, you're going to sit on a podcast, you're going to talk, you're going to be on camera, you're going to have a social media profile and do all the things you're doing, I'd be like, absolutely no chance. I couldn't even be in a family photo. Hated it.
Look at you now.
Crazy.
And I guess you just answered your purpose question. That's why you set up.
Yeah, that's why I set up.
You're giving other people what?
I guess that's actually just still the self-doubt creeping in, that I didn't say that because I don't... You always get conflicting views, don't you? But like, there's part of me that believes I'm not having that impact yet. And I get huge imposter syndrome. Like, I'd love to say that I am having that impact and I can do all those things, but there's still a voice in the back of my head that's like, you're not doing that. You've not had enough impact. You could be doing this. You're not helping that person. Or...
Have you ever wrote a brag sheet?
No, that's the first time I've ever heard of one of these.
Essentially a list of what you achieved, and it's basically physical evidence of when them self-doubt thoughts come in and, I'm not making an impact, I've not changed any, and actually you wrote down some of them things and you go, actually I helped that guy who was struggling with his friendship dynamics, or help this guy step into the gym and feel comfortable there. I've set up a community, and it's something you can look at, and when them thoughts creep in, it's like, Oh no, let that thought pass. That is bullshit. Like
It's
look at
interesting.
this.
You just said something to me that I preach all the time in my coaching about, like, self-confidence. Is that for me and our morals and Muscle and Mind is about, you stack wins, and that's how you create confidence. You hit your first this in the gym, you hit first that, you ran your first race, you've done this, you've done that, you tracked your first day of calories or whatever, you lost a bit of weight, you gain this. Like, you stack confidence that you can do things that you say you can do, and that's how you build confidence. And it's funny that you're actually now just relaying the advice I give to other people back to me.
I'm a mirror.
It's interesting. But yeah, going back to that, I guess it's because I want to have such a big impact, and sometimes I feel like I'm not having the big impact, but sometimes it's about, like, the spearhead of that impact. Like, you can have a really strong impact on a few people rather than, like, a more watered down version on, like, a large group. I'd love to have that on, like, a big group, and that's what I'm striving for, and I'd love to do.
I think you're on your way.
I hope so.
Well, who is one person you recommend have on the podcast?
Ben Haldon. Straight away. The other Carry the Weight founder.
Ben, you've been called out. Is there a reason?
I guess I really look up to Ben, and I'll say that to him. He's very grounded. He can hold space. He can hold a conversation. He's very connected. He's worked hard. He's successful, but he's still connected. He still has that, like, childlike quality within him, which I think being able to still play and let your hair down is incredible. And he's been successful, but he's not, allowed any of that to get to him. He's still very connected, still wants to do these things where there's no financial incentive. I really admire Ben, and I think a lot of lads should look up to him.
Ben, wait for the call. No, I think that's a great recommendation. And obviously I'd love to have him on if he had the time, if he was in Manchester. Sure, we can make that happen. We kind of spoke at the start because we switched seats, and, like, you're in the hot seat, and normally you kind of lead conversations because of your coaching practice and stuff like that. So I'll give you an opportunity to do that and ask me a question. Is there anything you want to ask me before we wrap up?
I'd love to know why you are so driven and so honest in the way that you speak and the way you want to help people. I mean, again, that's a very deep and directed question. You don't have to answer it, but you give so much, and I don't know if you get that, if that's reciprocated in some way, because it's probably not, because you do give so much. But I'd love to know why and where that comes from, without sitting here for 3 hours, because I know it's a deep question, but I admire you a lot for that. And I think maybe I guess the question is, I know you give so much, and without it sometimes always coming back, how do you keep giving and maintain that?
Great question, by the way, and I think we could be like 3 hours deep going into this, but to whom much is given, much will be required. And I feel blessed for what I have in life. I'm in a very privileged position, and I know I can help people. And the other side of the question is, like, you give so much, maybe sometimes it's not reciprocated. I don't give on the basis of it coming back. I want to serve people. I want to have an impact. So whether it comes back or not, it's nice if it does. If it doesn't, it don't matter, because that's not why I'm doing it.
And that's why you're in the position you are.
I think that is a great place to wrap up. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability. Thank you for speaking on the topics we spoke about today. I think a lot of guys will take a lot from this, and really, I think a lot of guys will look up to you because you're so honest and open about it. So, yeah, thank you for the Carry the Weight Club, or the communities you're creating. You're doing a lot, mate. And you should be proud of yourself.
I appreciate you, Jordan. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.